Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the live stream. I hope everyone is very well tonight, having a great Friday night. So let's just see who's on the stream tonight. We have English Viking, who was the very first. Welcome to the stream, English Viking. We have Tom. Great to see you, Tom, moderating once again. We have Killer. Great to see you moderating once again, Killer. We have Derek. Great to see you, Derek. Hope you're well. Lindsay D. Great to see you once again, Lindsay. Hope you're well. Lindsay is one of the latest patrons. We have Helder. Great to see you, Helder. Hope you're well. Kenny. Great to see you on, Kenny. Ministerian. Great to see you once again. We have, let me see, John O'Sullivan. Great to see you, John. CJ. Great to see you, CJ. Hope you're well. Magister. Great to see you. Kevin. Great to see you. Enzo the God. Great to have you on once again. Lindsay, great to see you. I said already. Glasgow Kiss, great to have you on, Glasgow. Let me just jump down. Everyone can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. Everyone's saying hi, but let me know if you can hear me. There's a little bit of a delay in the chat, so. Smash that like button, guys. Yes. Just checking that everyone can hear me. We hear you loud and clear. Fantastic. Okay, so I'll just jump back up again. So I said hello to Enzo. Glasgow Kiss, great to see you on, Glasgow. Moderating once again. We have Rian, great to have you on. Rian Real Bran. Aoife, great to have you on, Aoife. Dano, great to see you, Dano. Draconic, great to see you. We have Basil Faulty once again. Basil is now a new regular on the stream. Great to see you, Basil. Sugar Free, great to have you on. George, great to see you, George. Uni, great to have you on. Ben, great to see you. We have, let me see, Angels, great to see you, Angels. I'll just go very quickly through everyone, as quickly as I can. We have Pete, great to see you, Pete. Akismad, great to have you on, Akismad. Dam, great to have you on. Who else have we got? Peter, great to see you, Peter. Leon, great to have you on. Deep Thought, great to see you. Hope you're well. Michael, great to have you on. Boris Ali. Link T, great to have you on. Hope you're well. We have Tiny Demolition Lover, great to see you once again. I won't fall asleep this time. I hope not. We have, let me see, William, great to see you. First time here. Welcome, William. Hope you'll enjoy the stream. Let me see. Matt Greek, great to see you, Matt. Giorgio, great to have you on. We have Dog Nuts, great to see you once again, Dog Nuts. Hope you're well. No Dialcy, ahoy hoy, great to have you on. Let me see. Helke Lamart, great to have you on. Electronic Freak, great to see you once again. I didn't see you at the last number of streams. Jim, great to see you. Nicholas, Obidon, John O'Sullivan. I'm trying to go as quickly as I can. We're up to 202, so Kip, Parmi, Patrick, Mark, Raymond, Jean, George asked a question. A custom border around Kent, insane. Yeah, but happening. Yes, this is absolutely insane. I bet you didn't see that on a big red bus traveling around in 2016. Don't worry, don't worry. We'll see it. We'll secure the borders, but we'll actually add an extra border just to be extra secure. We'll split up, not just. We'll allow Scotland to go, Northern Ireland to go, but don't worry, we'll create a border within England. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's come on the stream. Apologies if I haven't said hello to you directly. I try and say hello to as many people as possible, but we're up over 200, so we'd spend the entire stream me saying hello to everyone. So I don't want to waste your time. So a big thank you to everyone who's come on the stream. I'll try and say hello to people as we go. So if you're new to the stream, this is probably about 2 hours. We'll have a break halfway through, so we'll have a bit of fun as well. So let's get down to business. So what is happening this week? What a mess this week was. The cases are rising once again. Boris Johnson avoiding talking about a second lockdown, trying to work his way around the possibility of a lockdown. I think it was tonight there is a 10 p.m. curfew, so people cannot go to bars or restaurants. We can talk a bit about that after. Of course, guys, as you've come on the stream, smash that like button, gets more people on the stream. We got up to, I think it was 700 or almost 800 one night on a Friday. So let's break that record. If you'd like to hit me with a super chat, I'll prioritize your comment because it can be difficult for me to read all of the comments. I try my best, but a super chat will highlight, and I promise to respond to it. If you'd like to become a patron, you can become a patron, and after the live stream we have an extra chat. We have a live chat. You can talk with me and other patrons on Discord, so you get connected to Discord. If you're already a patron, make sure to check out Discord if you haven't already. So let's see what the news is tonight. So we have Sunak warned winter economy plan not enough to stop wave of job losses. So I was talking about this before, how we're going to see massive job losses at the end of the furlough scheme. Now, of course, Rishi Sunak has brought in a new type of scheme, which is actually copied from Germany. But it's not as generous as the German one. Now, Boris Johnson had kept saying about how, yes, the furlough scheme was 1 in a million. It was extremely generous. It was the most generous in Europe. And he was correct. But the problem is that as soon as you cut it off, it doesn't matter how generous it was. People still have bills to pay. People have mortgages to pay, rent to pay. And Boris Johnson putting his arms around people is not enough to pay the bills. Ministerian, thank you very much for that super chat. Pineapple pizza will be the Kentland's national dish. What would be the capital of Kentland? What would be the national anthem of Kentland? Oh no, no offense to people in Kent. I understand. And hopefully there's someone from Kent on the stream tonight so they can fill us in on what the hell is going on there. That's mad. Thanks for that super chat. So Chancellor told hard-hit industries need further support while whole sectors cannot access wage subsidies. So just read a little bit from this article from The Guardian. It says here, Rishi Sunak's winter plan will not be enough to stop a wave of redundancies unless hard-hit industries such as hospitality and the arts receive further support. The government has been warned. The cancelling... So just check what appeared there. Tom, great to see you, Tom. Thank you very much, Tom. Sorry, I said hello already to Tom. Thank you very much for that super chat. Mankinis are the the traditional dress in Kentland. Whatever you do, guys, don't Google mankinis. If you don't know what a mankini is, your ignorance is bliss. Okay. After cancelling the budget, Sunak announced a series of measures on Thursday, including new wage subsidy scheme to support jobs. They received cautious applause from several major trade bodies and business lobby groups. But the Chancellor is also facing accusations of abandoning millions of freelancers and whole sectors of the economy, such as nightclubs, live music venues, and theatres, that cannot access wage subsidies because they're not allowed to reopen. Yeah. So what's this sort of subsidy that Sunak has brought out? The Chancellor has brought out. So what will happen is people who return to work, even working for 1/3 of their normal hours, they'll be paid the first third by their employer, and another third will be paid by the government. But that's only for people who return to work. It's not going to cover everyone. Now, of course, the problem with this, and I talked about it in one of the videos, is that some people can return to work, some people cannot. For example, as the article says, there are many industries that are still closed. So how can people return to work if their industry is closed at the moment? For example, theaters or nightclubs. And also there are many restaurant industries, for example, or the restaurant industry, in many cases, most of their business is in the late evening after 10 o'clock. So they're going to have to lay off staff. And those people will not be supported under this scheme. So we're going to see massive layoffs. But there's a reason behind all of this, and I'll explain it a little bit later. So Sunoc's plans include long-awaited replacement for the furlough scheme that will see the government and employers share the cost of paying wages. So July's VAT cut for hospitality from 20% to 5% will be extended to the end of March, while struggling businesses will no longer will get longer to pay off pay back government loans. So there's some, it's mixed. There is some good and there's some bad. Dame Carlin Fairborn, Director General of the UK's leading business lobby group, the Confederation of Business British Industry, the CBI, praised Sunak for the bold steps and said would preserve hundreds of thousands of jobs through the winter. She insisted that 2021 could be the year of growth and renewal. I don't know. We will see. There is one small problem in 2021. Maybe you would think she would have thought of that. Brexit. Adam Marshall, the Director General of the British Chamber of Commerce, said the plan was a shot in the arm for businesses. Yeah, things are going pretty badly. But the problem is about jobs. So let's go down a little bit here. It says hospitality has been particularly hit particularly hard by the pandemic, and multiple trade bodies had warned earlier this week that a quarter of the UK's 100,000 pubs, bars, restaurants could close, with the loss of 675,000 jobs, unless they were given sector-specific support. That's not going to happen. Doesn't seem to be the plan. So you're going to see massive layoffs at the end of the furlough scheme. Kip, great to have you on the stream. Thank you very much for that super chat. If you have a comment, stick it in the comment section. I'll promise to try and read it. Thank you very much for that. Let me read some of your comments before I go ahead. Let me see. Can't the loans be declared as bonuses like the banks did with the bailout? Yeah, that would be interesting. That they don't have to be paid back. That was disgusting. And I'm going to show you something quite disgusting related to that later in the stream about the banks. Okay. I just want to go down a little bit on this. So the Chancellor has given us some reason to be positive, but we urged him to engage with the trade on specific measures to keep people in work. So this is about hospitality. We need government to go further in hospitality, recognizing the greater restrictions imposed upon us, and pick up the full cost of unworked hours, she said. This would be a relatively low cost for huge reward for our workforce. Full support to sustain people in their jobs during what could be a pretty bleak winter for hospitality would be a great step forward. Sunak was also accused of letting freelancers slip through the cracks. So that there are a lot of freelancers, people who work for themselves, particularly those working in creative industries such as theatre, where venues remain closed and are therefore unable to tap into government wage subsidies. The job support scheme may help some employers, but it will not help to save theatres that are still not able to open due to government restrictions and already making thousands of workers redundant. So, how can you say, okay, we're going to help workers, we're going to help industry, but not allow some to reopen, or not allow certain industries that are closed to be supported in another way. They let them fail as redundancy payments in hospitality are small. There you go. The government have let go. So why are the government doing this? Why are they providing such little support to industries? Kip asked a question. Let me just scroll back up. Sorry, Kip, I didn't see your question. Let me see. Kip, here it is. Why did Boris avoid the support of the Chancellor? Avoid to support the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the House of Commons? That's an interesting question. Why did Boris not support the Chancellor? Actually, Boris, yeah, when the Chancellor was reading this out, Boris Johnson was meeting with the police, not to be arrested, but he was having a chat with he was doing a photo shoot with the police. That's an interesting question. I think it's because maybe Boris wants to distancing himself from this problem. If he was there, he would have to be, he would be showing his support. I think there could be, at the moment, and I've talked about this before, I think there could be a challenge taking place behind closed doors for the next Tory leader, for the next Prime Minister. And many people I've spoken to online and offline, in a sense, about this, and they believe it's going to be Michael Gove. I'd actually put my money on Rishi Sunak as the next leader of the Conservative Party. Michael Gove has many things going for him, not positive things. Well, no, he has more experience. He's been a politician much longer than Sunak. But I think Sunak sort of represents some sort of new Toryism. Also, the fact that he's a member of an ethnic minority, the Tories would be milking that as much as possible. But the problem also, I think there are two camps. That's the problem. Is for the Tories, there are two camps. There's Brexit, and there's the economy. Although of course they're connected, but the Tories see it as two things. Michael Gove is pretty much responsible for Brexit, and Sunak is responsible for the economy. If one of them goes badly, I think it's going to sink that particular candidate for leader. Of course, Brexit and the economy are deeply linked, so it's going to be interesting how that works itself out. Only thing left in Kent will be a massive car park, and Nigel Farage sat in a tiny booth neglecting his job and shouting at the sea instead. I would love for somebody I want somebody to do a cartoon of that. That would be a fantastic cartoon. An empty car park with one single booth with a little barrier, with Nigel Farage sitting inside, drinking brandy and smoking a cigar, going, where is all the trade that I promised? Thank you very much for that super chat, Matt. Okay, so I think what's happening actually here, why are they doing this? I think this is another step towards shuffling people into universal credit. The Tories are not interested in looking after people. They're not interested in maintaining jobs in the long term. They couldn't throw everyone under the bus at the same time. It makes more sense to throw people under the bus, in groups of 10 or whatever, not all together, because all together there would be chaos, there would be rioting in the streets, I think. But if you allow, a certain number of people to be unemployed, a continuous flow that isn't so dramatic, I still think the end of the furlough scheme will be dramatic. Perhaps what Sunak is doing here is he's putting a little bit of a brake on it, driving around with the handbrake on. that seems to be that seems to be the impression I'm getting from it, that it's let's move people into universal credit, and then once people are in universal credit, that's it. It's no longer our problem. And I've talked about this before. I see universal credit, unfortunately, as a step away from slavery, because once you have people in universal credit, you force them to do jobs that they don't want to do, and then you'll have these people working in companies in positions where they cannot complain, they can't resign. Yeah, and thank you very much for that super chat. Good job. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So you can't, if you're in universal credit, you're offered a job, for example, picking strawberries, as the Brexiteers were saying, we don't need all these Romanians coming back to the UK to pick strawberries. We have hundreds of thousands of people willing to pick strawberries. You could be forced, to pick strawberries, for example. If your employer says, I want you to work extra, and you say, no, well, this is, I don't have a contract, but I don't agree with working extra. Well, then they say, okay, you're going to be sanctioned. And what happens when you're sanctioned? Your payments are stopped. And then you have to go into the website, call up the universal credit agent or office to get unsanctioned or to get your unemployment benefits back. And in many cases, people have to wait weeks to get these payments back. Lennon, thank you so much for that kind donation. If you have a comment, I'll try and read it out. Thank you so much for that. So I see this as pushing more people into universal credit, but in order not to have a shock to the system, they're turning on the tap a little bit, or closing, opening the valve a little bit, not to overwhelm the system. But I think this is what's going to happen. Workhouse in your own home, if you're lucky enough to have one. That's a very interesting point. BCA says Romanians pick strawberries. Oh, it's great. I love your videos on your cycling videos. Very nice. Okay, let me read some more of your comments because you guys make the stream. I'm just the conduit. There were a lot of people who cheered the sanctions of people on benefits, and they were going to see the other side of things firsthand now. I agree, Basil. I think it was disgusting when Ian Duncan Smith brought in this universal credit and the way it was cheered on. Of course, they would never experience it. Yes, as I was saying, Gove for leader. His head is on the top of the Beluga beacons everywhere. Dude, great to have you on the stream, dude. Hope you're well. So yeah, I think it's split between Gove and Rishi Sunak. I fall more on the side of Rishi Sunak because Sunak isn't. If he loses, he has nothing really to lose, and he's there. I don't know why he's there. He has lots of money. He doesn't need. He's not doing the job of chancellor for the money. Is he power hungry? I'm not sure. Is it about power? Is it about prestige? I don't know what his motivation to be chancellor is. Conservator, great to see you on the stream. Hope you're well. The politics of resentment is a powerful tool. Portillo did a TV show where he tried to live on benefits for a week. He lasted about a day and a half. He probably spent all of his benefits on I don't know, on the taxi to the restaurant where he's going to have breakfast. Sunak's also starting to wonder why he's there, perhaps. Priti Patel is power hungry, yes, but I don't see her becoming leader. It could happen, but I think she has ugly Patel. But I think she has too much baggage. So Sunak is someone without baggage. Michael Gove is somebody with a certain amount of baggage. So I think selecting a leader, someone without baggage, is beneficial to the party. It's all about the party. It's not about the actual, caring about who's going to be prime minister, really. But then Boris had a lot of baggage as well. But I think they were happy with Boris because they believed they could manipulate Boris. And Boris wasn't manipulated by the party, he was more manipulated by you-know-who, Dominic comments. Okay, I want to... so this is about the layoffs. I just want to show you part of this video. This is from Channel 4. They do some very good coverage on this. So hopefully the sound is okay. So I'll put it up. You should be able to hear it. So let's hear what they have to say. So this is a follow-on of what we've been talking about these job cuts, about what's going to be introduced. I think what's happening is we're heading for, in October, heading for the end of the furlough scheme, which is going to be a massive shock. It will be somewhat eased in November when this new scheme starts. And then there'll be another shock in January, when the end of the transition period happens, and we see Brexit in all its glory. Okay.
The door opened to reveal two surprise endorsements. The bosses of the TUC and the CBI, both in Downing Street, to give public backing to the Chancellor's package. Some bosses and unions wondered if that was entirely wise.
Yes, So I hope, guys, you're able to hear it. Whoops, and let me just...
Chancellor's package. Some bosses...
I hope you guys, can you hear it? Tell me if you cannot hear it. Gove and Mog horrors. Yes, I can't imagine a worse duo. Maybe Gove. Gove and Francois. Mog and Francois. Laughs in Irish. But the idea that the trade unions, the TCU, no, is it a TUC? I don't remember. I can hear loud and clear. Okay, thanks very much. But the idea that that trade unions are supporting this, I was, I don't know if you can't see my face, but it was not good.
And unions wondered if that was entirely wise. Whether Rishi Sunak's new job creation scheme could save many jobs as he prepares to shut down the giant £40 billion furlough scheme.
So, once again, about the furlough scheme, I have to say the furlough scheme was a good idea. The furlough scheme saved jobs. I'm not going to talk about UBI, I promise. But in a sense, the furlough scheme was like a UBI. It saved many jobs. It didn't save all jobs, of course. Many people lost their jobs. But I think it was a perfect trial run for a UBI. And to take that away, I think it's going to leave a lot of people destitute.
It is now clear, as the Prime Minister and our scientific advisors have said, for at least the next 6 months, the virus and restrictions are going to be a fact of our lives. Our economy is now likely to undergo a more permanent adjustment. The sources...
You know how they say, not downturn, not disaster, but adjustment. Yeah, it's an adjustment. You know, like the way you adjust your radio. It's more like you rip the radio out of the car and throw it out of the window as you're moving along the street.
Of our economic growth and the kinds of jobs we create will adapt and evolve to the new normal. And our plan needs to adapt and evolve in response.
Under the job support scheme, someone whose hours have been cut to a third of their normal hours could get a subsidy. So, if you're on £350 a week and your hours go down to a third the normal ones, you'd expect your salary to go down to about a third of the normal wage. Under this scheme, the government will chip in some money to make it go up and require the employer to chip in some money to put it up some more. You'll be close to, but not at, your original salary. The problem is the employer is now paying per hour more than they were before. Some think that'll be a disincentive for employers to join the scheme. There could be a £1,000 bonus if you hold on to an employee by the...
Sorry, I actually didn't know this. So the idea that employers who join the scheme... So this isn't something this isn't by law. This isn't going to force employers to be part of this scheme. Employers can join it if they want. So many employers will not join it. They'll say, look, we're going to pay you the hours that you work. That's it. If you don't like it, go home. There's a queue of people who are out the door who would be willing to do it as well. It's a copy of the Kurzarbeitergeld in Germany. It is, yes. It's a copy of that system. But the one in Germany is more favourable to the employer.
The end of January, but is that enough?
The government will directly support the wages of people in work, giving businesses who face depressed demand the option of keeping employees in a job on shorter hours rather than making them redundant.
There are some serious design flaws in the schemes he set out today, in particular because employers will be required to pay a very large, 1/3 of the wage costs for the period when workers are not working. They won't have a very strong incentive to use this scheme to keep...
Of course they won't. They'll just say, no, I'm sorry, you have to either work the hours or we'll send you home.
Workers on part-time and make sure those workers' pay is topped up by the government.
Much of the hospitality industry has reopened since lockdown, but the early closing laws taking effect tonight unnerve many employers, wondering what other restrictions are still to come.
They're going to be required to give an upfront commitment that they're not making any redundancies in order to be able to benefit from this scheme. And that's something that they just can't predict at the moment. So if you're faced, as many of them are, with closing down your premises because you've lost your trade, or not being able to reopen big chunks of your activity, events, functions, Christmas lunches, you're just going to press the button on those redundancies now.
Labour said employers needed to know what was replacing the furlough scheme earlier, and this landlord from just outside Nottingham agreed.
Unfortunately, it is just a little bit too late. I think if this had been planned with more time and it had been done maybe 6 weeks ago.
So if this had been done before, but of course it's not about preparing. Why is everything at the last minute? As I said in one of the videos, I said, why not extend the furlough scheme and then roll this out after? Say this is what's coming, not say this is what's coming when people are expecting to end the furlough scheme. Because what happened was, Sunak had introduced the furlough scheme, and then he said, we're going to extend it. I think it extended at the beginning until October. And at the end of October, it's finished. So what did employers do? They prepared for the end of October. The Labour Party asked for the government to extend the transition period, extend the furlough scheme. The SNP asked for the government to extend the furlough scheme. And the response from Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak was, we're not going to extend it indefinitely. But it wasn't extending it indefinitely. They wanted it extended in order to deal with the pandemic. Once again, as I said in the video, it seems to be like the pandemic is over, now let's move on. But the pandemic is not over. That's the problem. Sunak is proving himself to be a true Tory. Yes. Don't give a crap about the people. That really makes no sense. Which company will use this? Even says Oberstein. Which company will use this? Even from the point of view of a normal worker, it makes no sense. everything's last minute and short term in their culture. They need to process the first batch of universal credit. I picked the wrong year to quit drink. Trippy my keepy. Sorry, that was funny. I picked the wrong year to quit drinking. 406 and only 156 likes. Come on, guys, smash that like button. You know you have to smash that like button. You know, it doesn't cost you a penny to smash that like button. Baza says, but they're going to lock down again very soon, so they'll continue the furlough scheme. And all the current stuff is purely to give people the impression that they're not locking down. But I don't think they're going to extend the furlough scheme, because he would have to have something in the budget for an extra furlough scheme. Now, Max, Brexit on the brain. Why the oven-ready deal is ready and waiting. They're trying to avoid a million dump of employees in one burst. Draw slow that well into the spring. I agree. I think Mal M, I think that's correct. Hamsters want likes. Smash that like button, guys. 405 viewers. Even more than that. If employers are kept on under this scheme, like the last, and hit 2 years, they will be entitled to redundancy payments. They will probably be entitled to holiday pay. That's Tim. Thank you very much for that. That's a very interesting point. Sorry, maybe somebody had also brought it up in the stream. Yeah, the idea that redundancy is a very, very big issue here. Perhaps some employers want to avoid paying redundancy. If employees can't work 1/3, then they don't qualify. So end of contract. Yeah. So you'll have employers who say, well, I'm not going to give you 1/3 of the hours. I'm not going to give you any hours. I think the biggest problem with this whole scheme is the timing. If it had been rolled out before, if it had been mentioned, described, talked about, explained before, a couple of months ago, or a month ago, or even a few weeks ago, then employers would have been able to plan for it and say, okay, once again, it shows how the Tories have no understanding of business. They have no understanding of how a business operates. They think that a business just, is able to make decisions from one day to the next. Businesses have to plan. They have to, when they invest money in something, they have to plan it ahead of time. They can't just make split decisions at the last minute. Tony Abbott for Prime Minister. Can he be Prime Minister of 2 countries in the same decade? No, he was actually not in the same decade, so he'd be okay. But I don't think technically he could become Prime Minister. Well, I'm not sure. Australia's not too happy with Tony Abbott's shenanigans at the moment. Less than half watching have smashed the button. No, that's not possible. Okay, let's continue with this response.
The country wouldn't be staring at a lot of redundancies that are now on the cards. Personally, we could have probably kept another 15 staff or so that unfortunately we had to let go in the last round of retention.
The Chancellor also announced government support for the self-employed continues, but they can now only claim 20% of monthly profits, down from 70 to 80% before. 4 loan schemes, which have already backed £58 billion in lending, are extended to the end of November. VAT already reduced from 20 to 5% for restaurants, hotels and cinemas will stay at that lower rate. And
okay, but many of these restaurants will have to close. So, look, we have good news and we have bad news. The good news is we're going to keep the VAT rate at 5%. And the bad news, well, you'll have to close at 10 o'clock.
Until the end of March.
I cannot save every business. I cannot save every job. It is fundamentally wrong to hold people in jobs that only exist inside the furlough. We need to create new opportunities and allow the economy to move forward.
Are you insane? Are you insane? What opportunities? There's a friggin' pandemic at the moment. We haven't... Look, when we leave the pandemic, when the pandemic is over, then you can start talking about new opportunities. So these jobs are gone. They've been destroyed by the pandemic. They're not coming back. Now we have to look at new opportunities. Yes, after the pandemic, not during the pandemic. It's like saying, you know, my house is on fire, but before I put it out, I'm going to see about where I should hang these pictures. You have to deal with the current situation first, and then you can talk about new opportunities. And this, of course, completely ignores the other elephant in the room, which is Brexit, which is going to destroy even more jobs in the future. Simon says UBI. I 100% agree. Lots of service jobs turning up in large parks. I hope you guys are laughing because oh my thank you very much, Kip. You have to laugh because it's so tragic. You either laugh or you cry. I'm not laughing because I'm insensitive. I'm laughing because it's so absurd. Service jobs in. I will commission somebody to do a picture of Nigel Farage sitting in that car park. Thank you so much, Kip, for that super chat. If you have a question, I'll try to answer it. Kip, how now the Trump card is out of the window? Double meaning. What is next for Brexit? Well, we'll get to. I promise we will get to Brexit in a little bit. What's next for Brexit? It's not good. Laugh or cry? Yes. US deal gone because the US Congress Irish lobby. Yes, partly. 2. EU confirms that they need but can live without the UK banking system. Partly because I think with the UK banking system it's gradually going to be eliminated. The dependence on the City of London is gradually going to be phased out. So this is something very important to remember about the European Union. The European Union don't do things quickly. They're like the Swiss, even though, you know, the Swiss are not part of the EU. They take their time. They care about detail. So they, of course, will move slowly. That's why they had said to Boris Johnson and Theresa May, if you want to extend the transition period, we're willing to do that. It's more important for us to do something correct than to do something quickly. So I think, sorry, I just want to, about your question. So about the banking, I think what will happen is, I think it's already happening. Many UK banks and financial institutions are moving to the continent. So this is just going to continue, you know, a snail's pace perhaps, but it will gradually be I truly think that the services that are offered by the City of London will be emulated in other countries, in other cities around Europe. Itchyback, thank you very much for that super chat. Hey Max, we need a new traffic warning system. It's it is a triangle said U-turns ahead, and an exclamation plate says Johnson's government. It's the government of U-turns. I like to say it's like they've done more U-turns than a person lost inside an IKEA shop. But I think Trippy is correct. I think there is this moving of services out of the City of London. I did talk about maybe some sort of extension for the City of London, in the transition, but probably not going to happen. The EU are attempting to emulate these services in Frankfurt, in Milan, in Paris, and for the time being, until it's completely copied, they'll continue to work with the UK.
And that means supporting people to be in viable jobs which provide genuine security.
But there is no genuine security at the moment. We're still in a frigging pandemic. How can he say that? How can he say they're, viable jobs with secure? What job is secure at the moment? I think somebody said Undertaker. Yeah, probably Undertaker is probably the only secure job at the moment. So they would be pretty viable. Politician is probably still viable for the time being as well. But really, what industry is not affected by the pandemic? What industry is... what jobs are viable?
He didn't spell out which jobs might not be viable anymore, nor how he would raise money to pay for the costs of COVID. One report today estimated they were already well over £300 billion.
So the Chancellor says his new plan...
So how is he... Actually, that's an interesting question. How is this going to be paid for? Well, I think what's going to happen is they're going to raise a lot of debt. They're going to increase public debt. And then what they'll do is they'll devalue the pound. If Conservator is listening, he knows a bit about this. Like what was happening in many countries in Europe before the euro. What they did was they ran up huge debts, and then what they did was they devalued their currency. So when you devalue the currency, it reduces the value of the debt, so it makes it easier to pay it off. That's what I think that the UK will do. Of course, it's extremely damaging for imports because it makes imports much more expensive. But you will continue to see the value of the pound decrease. The pound has not recovered in value since 2016. Now, that's something I've said to many Brexiteers, and they don't have a response to that. If Brexit is such a great decision, you would think in some ways the pound would recover its value. It hasn't recovered its value since 2016. It dropped, and it has never returned to its position before 2016. Tom, thank you very much for that super chat. Send the hamsters to help Larry, the Downing Street cat, run Her Majesty's government. Perhaps the Queen's corgis could help clear the decks. Anyone would do a better job than the current stooges at the moment.
Plan will help to save jobs. Our economics correspondent Helia Ebrahimi is outside number 11 Downing Street. Helia, will this stave off mass unemployment?
I think, John, that's the key question. When you talk to economists today, they're still talking about a wall of unemployment that's going to go up from 4 to 8% by the end of the year. Now, that's a big shock to the system after a decade of almost full employment. And today's tinkering doesn't really change many of those forecasts.
So, why won't today's measures make that much difference then?
I think if you look at the furlough scheme, there's maybe 2-3 million people still on the furlough scheme in hospitality, in the arts, in retail. Many of those jobs are low skilled and low paid. And as Gary was saying, now companies are being asked not only to pay for hours worked, but hours not worked. Now that might seem quite expensive. This rescue package could be more useful in the next 6 months when we're expecting to see the economy slow. New jobs could be at risk, jobs in construction, jobs in manufacturing, high-skilled jobs. Maybe businesses will be minded to pay more for those types of jobs. Now, as Gary was talking about, that question of viability, which jobs are, which jobs aren't, I pressed the Chancellor on that earlier today. Do you think jobs like those where trade...
Just before we get to this, I just want to say, I just want to answer George's question. So the City of London is dead. Yes, or well, it will operate in a much smaller scale, on a much smaller scale. It will eventually die, but I don't know how long that will take. Once again, the European Union does things very slowly, so I perhaps some parts of it will remain open because it's more it's feasible for the EU just to say, look, this isn't something we need to copy. Let's maintain the City of London to do these types to provide these types of services. So I don't see the City of London completely disappearing, but I think there is a slow, constant march away from depending on the City of London, which makes sense because the European Union have very little control over that.
Trading has fallen off completely. Are those jobs still viable?
I can't promise that everyone can go back to the job that they used to have. We obviously can't sustain the same level of things that we were doing at the beginning of this crisis, but nor would it right to do so either, because the situation has evolved.
The situation has evolved. What way? We're looking at another wave, and possibly another lockdown. The situation has evolved. It's a big word to use for the current situation. It hasn't really evolved. Some things have changed, yes, but many people can't return to work, and you know that this is going to leave many people without a job.
I think you have to remember the scale of economic fiscal stimulus that we've seen this year and how small today's piece actually is. Now, we don't have the exact numbers, we don't even have a budget, but we do think that the job support scheme will cost the government three and a bit billion pounds for the whole 6-month duration. To give you some context, Job, the furlough scheme cost £4 billion for 1 month alone. And to give you even more context, we're heading for a deficit this year because of all the intervention that we've seen of £370 billion.
Helia Ebrahimi outside the Chancellor's residence there in 11 Downing Street.
Noel, earlier I spoke to Labour's Annalise Dodds, the Shadow Chancellor, and began by asking whether she appreciates the Chancellor's honesty in saying he can't protect every job.
Well, I appreciate the fact that we are obviously in this tremendous national crisis, very sadly, and it's having a very...
Annalise Dodds is a nice person, but I think she should be a bit more aggressive about this. You know, which jobs are viable? Why are people being laid off at this stage? We're not out of the friggin' pandemic. She can use even stronger language than I am. But the Labour Party need to run with this. The Labour Party are the party of workers. They should be looking out for workers. They should be, banging the door down.
Severe economic impact. I think what's really important now, however, is to acknowledge that the UK, just as we appear to have the worst excess death rate in Europe, seem to be experiencing the deepest recession in the G7 and quite a slow recovery, unfortunately. So it's really important the Chancellor does all that he can to recover jobs, retrain workers and rebuild businesses. And I'm afraid this morning we didn't get enough to achieve those goals.
I think we need to move away from the idea that we can retrain people. Retrain them to do what? We're still inside the pandemic. We need to get over the pandemic, and then we can start having discussions about what type of jobs people can do. Where is the manure? Saving all jobs is a straw man. She has ginger hair, Max. How aggressive can she get? That's a terrible thing to say. Yawn. I think this response is not... You need to be more aggressive. I think we need to be more challenging to the government. Once again, we're not out of the bloody pandemic. We need to maintain these supports, at least until the pandemic has been dealt with, and then say, okay, now what type of economy do we want? What do we want to achieve going forward? I think this is just making the situation worse. Mock spreaders the plenty, maybe town halls. The ending of the furlough scheme means money will be contracted from the economy. People won't be able to buy their goods, their needs. So small businesses will be affected. There are less customers. See, as I said at the beginning, the furlough scheme is like a UBI. The economy was running. The economy didn't collapse because you introduced the furlough scheme. They keep saying about, we can't maintain it, we can't continue it because it's too expensive. But it's not. It's more expensive not to have it. Sunak even knows that. By not having why did he introduce it? Because he needed people to stay at home. He needed people to live. If they didn't have money, the economy would collapse. So by giving people money and seeing that the economy didn't collapse, then it makes sense to maintain it. I think it should be maintained permanently. Something like it. The Lib Dems have come out in favour of a UBI. Unfortunately, the Lib Dems have no power. It's easy to come out in support of UBI if you haven't the ability to put it in place. But I hope they do, and I hope any government whatever government replaces this one impose a UBI. Imagine if you did impose a UBI, if you introduced a UBI, you'd be able to lock in a huge voter base forever, because any other party that would be willing to take it away would be rejected by the public, I hope. So as I'm a bit agitated, I think it would be good to have a little bit of a break. So we'll have a bit of fun. So if you're new to the stream, I normally just about halfway through the stream, we have a little comedy moment. So this one is very good. So I'm going to show a video here, and then we'll get back to the serious discussion. So let me post this, and you should see it on your screen in a moment.
Mom, you plebs are always dying, and I'm not exactly crying, but we need you back out buying shit you don't need. So go to work but don't go, and take it from old Bojo when it inevitably fails to succeed. Don't blame it on the sun trots, don't blame it on the moonshots, don't blame it on the weeks lost, blame it on the public, yeah. Don't blame it on the testing, or the lack of track and tracing, or the wacky fucking racing. Blame it on the public. Don't blame it how to help out. Don't blame the PPE drought, or years of giving the NHS nout. No, blame it on the public. Don't blame it on the late clock. Don't blame it on my mate cock. Could maybe blame it on your weight doc. Yes, blame it on the public. Don't blame herd immunity. Don't blame Valance or Witty, or Rob or go for pretty. Blame it on the public. Don't blame it on back to work. No, don't blame the contractor work. Oh, like giving Trace and Tracks a circle. Blame it on the public. No, don't you blame it on the free press. Don't blame it on the key test. Don't blame the 5D chess. No, blame it on the public. Yeah. Don't blame it on my good friend Dido, or the care homes genocide, no, or the missed Cobra meetings, I know. Let's blame it on the public. No, I just can't control the spread. I just can't I just can't control the spread. Sun trots, moon shots, weeks lost, public.
Fantastic. I think that's one of my favorites so far. Oh my god, okay. So, of course, this stream would not be... Whoops, let me bring this up. This stream would not be this stream if there was not a mention of Brexit. So, oh my god, we're going from one joke to another joke. I hope you enjoyed that video. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So, we have here this about Kent, as we were talking about at the beginning of the stream. So, lorry drivers will face a de facto Brexit border in Kent, Michael Gove confirms. That definitely didn't appear on the side of a big red bus, did it? A de facto Brexit border is to be introduced for lorry drivers entering Kent to travel onto the EU, Michael Gove has confirmed. I love the way how Michael Gove presents these things. It's like, yes, Brexit is going to be fantastic and we're going to have so many great things. We're going to have a border in Kent and then we're going to make trade deals all around. Sorry, what was that about Kent? No, never mind about Kent. We're going to have trade deals with countries all around the world. We'll have our money back. We'll be able to fish wherever we want. We can do whatever we want. We'll have a border in Kent and then it's going to be sunlit uplands. Remember, Brexit means Brexit. Oh my god. Yes. Max, none of this is serious. We're only talking about the economy, a pandemic and Brexit. When can we start talking about our investment portfolio? I see Farage in a van smoking a cigar and mumbling something about sovereignty. Coke snuffing Gove has changed his tune, yes. At this rate, Kent should declare independence from the UK. So the Minister for the Cabinet Office and Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, I love that title, told the Commons that lorry drivers will need a Kent access permit. Of course, fantastic, a Kent access permit to get into the county from the 1st of January, and police and ANPR cameras, automatic number plate recognition, enforcing the system. Well, at least they have this technology, you know. It's been around for about 10 years, but that's good. Drivers, British and foreign, who are travelling, for instance, from depots in the Midlands, will need to get a permit before they arrive in Kent if they intend to board a ferry or Eurotunnel train. So this Kent access permit has been considered inside Whitehall for some time as a means of averting traffic chaos in the county. But this is the first time it's been confirmed by the government as an operational plan for next January. And as I said in the video, you know, this is happening now. Why wasn't this information released before, a year ago, and said, okay, from next year, we need to put in place this Kent access passport, permission, whatever, and we have a year to put it in place. But of course, why did they not do this? Why is everything at the last minute? Because they're afraid of a backlash. They're afraid of people complaining and saying, wait a minute, we didn't expect that. Cap. Kent access permit. Watford Gap is old news. The French Department du Kent. Max, the last king of Kent, who was also the king of England and part thereof, was Indrel the Unready. How ironic is the history of the little island off the west coast of Europe. The Unready. Oh my god. Solution: return north of the Republic of Ireland. Solve problem solved. Yes. Don't forget to short the pound. More like can't access. Can't really access permit. there'll be probably a crap document as well. Did you get your Kent access permit? No, I got my crap my can't access Kent permit or whatever. You know what I mean. Okay, let's continue with this. According to the leaked border delivery document seen by The Guardian, the scheme was due to be approved last week at a meeting of the Exit Operating Committee chaired by Gove. We want to make sure that the people use a relatively simple process in order to get what will become known as the Kent Access Permit. I imagine this thing will be like gold. If they don't have the material required, it will be then it will be the case that through policing, ANPR cameras and other means, we will do our very best to ensure that constituents in Kent are not inconvenienced. I know that they requisitioned land. Dr. Johan, thank you very much for that super chat. Welcome to the stream. Hi guys, many greetings from Germany. One severe COVID case, rest just uncomplicated. Hold fast. I'm on call this weekend. Stay healthy, everyone. Stay safe, Dr. Johan. And thanks for that update. And thanks for that super chat. Verti, thank you very much for that super chat. We need Clark Kent. Marcus, we need Clark Kent. Oh my god, the Kentish Republic. Oh my god, I had no idea this would turn into some sort of comedy hour. Now, what if you arrive in Kent and you don't have your document ready? Well, according to a document seen by The Guardian last week, the Kent Access Permit system is proposed to be enforced in Kent with a £300 fine for port-bound heavy goods vehicles that travel without the Kent Access Permit. So if you don't wear a mask, you get, what is it, £100 fine? But if you don't have your Kent Access Permit ready, you'll get a £300 fine. The government has not said if it will enforce the... So we're going to introduce a system. If you don't comply to the system, we'll give you a fine, but we mightn't actually give you a fine. Earlier this week, the Labour MP Angela Eagle said, who's going to be patrolling the Kent borders to make sure that no lorries cross into Kent? That's a curiosity I have. So let me go to maps.google. Don't worry, it's in Italian. Let me see, can you... Yes, you can see this. Okay. It's a curiosity I have now. There's a lot of place. This, I assume, it's this whole area here. I can't see any border for the county. No. I'm not very familiar with geography in England, but like this, how many roads are there here? It reminds me of what happened in It reminds me of Northern Ireland. What happened in Northern Ireland? They were saying, yeah, we're going to be having borders along the Irish border. So we're going to have checks along the Irish border. Obi Don, thank you very much for that super chat. Thank you very much for that. When they were saying about we'll have borders, there's like 200 border crossings in between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. How many border checks are they going to have between Kent and the rest of the UK? So they're going to have cameras set up, but you can't close off the entire county. Are they going to have a wall? Are they going to have an electronic wall? This doesn't make any sense at all, but anyway, we'll move on. Oops, I opened the wrong page. Where are the border posts for going into Kent? Where are they going to be? It's very well saying that we're going to need it, but are we going to have Kent border police or border guards? She asked the Treasury Select Committee on Tuesday. Industry leaders have been concerned. One said it would need physical checks to weed out those with a cap and those without, which was a non-starter in their view. What type of vehicles will be checked? Will it be just articulated lorries? Will it be smaller trucks? Will it be small vans like those Opel Combo or something like that? On Tuesday, Gove wrote to hauliers to warn that if they did not prepare now for Brexit, they could face queues of up to 7,000 trucks in Kent, confirming internal cabinet analysis of the potential disruption caused by the UK's departure from the single market. The Road Haulage Association Chief Executive Richard Burnett said the industry already knows there will be queues in Kent, as it has been pressing the government to take action for months. Michael Gove is saying, you truckers, you know that if you don't have things ready, there's going to be queues. And they said, yes, we've been telling you that for months. He expressed fury that the government was trying to shift the blame onto the industry. Exactly. And that's what I said. I've been saying that on numerous occasions. When Brexit happens, when Brexit hits, Jan says, Max, when Kent thing is just diversion bull from bastards. Sorry, missed your comment. Some bastard mobsters in Gove's government, yes. But the government this is their plan all along. It's like blame everyone else for when things go badly. If they, there are problems with trucks in Kent. Well, it's because the EU didn't play ball, or because the truckers didn't have their documents ready. The truckers are telling them, but we, how can we have documents ready if we don't know which documents are to be prepared? You don't have any information for us now, 100 days, less than 100 days before we actually leave the EU completely, the end of the transition period. Then you're saying we need to have all these documents ready. There isn't even infrastructure put in place. I think what's going to happen is there won't be a border. Trucks will come in from there'll be chaos. I think what's going to happen, let me take a step back. I think what's going to happen is trucks will arrive in Kent. They will not be checked. There'll be some, they'll have some propaganda with Boris Johnson or Michael Gove at the border, with some security people for show, saying, look at how we're checking all these trucks, and they'll have some sort of monitoring system there just for the cameras, and then when the cameras go, it will be all dismantled and it'll be forgotten about. So it would be to show, look at what we're doing, we're checking every truck that comes in. Of course they won't be, but when they arrive to cross into the EU, there'll be tailbacks. I don't know how they're going to deal with it, because the documentation won't be ready. And then on the other side, I don't know what's going to happen on the other side is French trucks will arrive into the UK and they'll be just waved through, because there will be no system in place to check all of these goods. The government even said it themselves that they're going to wait for up to 6 months before all the checks are put in place. So trucks traveling across the border from the EU into the UK will be carrying all types of contraband, people, drugs, those types of cigarettes that come in dodgy packaging that look like Marlboro, but it's not exactly. That's what's going to happen, I think, because they won't have a system in place. And this whole idea of, we're going to create a border in Kent. How? Mr. Gove stresses that it's essential the traders act now to get ready for the new formalities. We knew for a fact that they were only too keen to be ready. But how on earth can they prepare when there's still no clarity as to what they need to do, said Burnett. Duncan Buchanan, the group's policy director for England and Wales, said the Kent permits were useless and pointless as nobody would enforce them. The letter from Gove also warns of 2-day delays for cargo travelling to the EU through Dover and Folkestone ferry or Eurotunnel trains in what is described as a reasonable worst-case scenario. Remember, when we brought up this as Remainers, we said, it's going to be a disaster. And what was the response we received from Brexiteers? Project Fear. You need to believe in Brexit. Remember that? Remember when people used to say, you need to believe more in Brexit? Theresa May didn't believe in Brexit. Theresa May's government didn't get a good deal because they didn't believe in Brexit. If you believe that trucks can pass through borders without checks, then it will happen. If you believe that all trucks can be checked, then it can happen if you believe in it enough. Doesn't it sound a bit like a cult? The letter from Gove... Sorry, I read that. Sorry. The biggest... worst case scenario. The biggest potential cause of disruption are traders not being ready for controls implemented by the EU member states on the 1st of January. Gove wrote in a letter to The Guardian. It's essential that traders act now and get ready for new formalities. Couldn't the government just set up set up a body that would do this for companies? Say, look, okay, it's like instead of asking the companies to do this, why doesn't the government set up a body and say, okay, this is the new trading body. What you do is we will send out agents to your companies. Let us know if you do trade with the European Union. If you do just trade within the UK, it's not important. But if you do trade with the European Union, we'll send out our agents to check the goods that you have, and we'll add them to our system so that when you arrive in Kent or wherever, you'll be automatically given the documentation that you need to travel forward, to go on to the EU. Couldn't they have done something like that? Of course, it would require a lot of time and money, but Brexiteers don't seem to have a problem with spending lots of money on Brexit. Couldn't they have done something like that instead of leaving all of the responsibility on companies? There are small companies who have maybe 2 or 3 lorries. They're not going to be able to afford to have staff hired to deal with this bureaucracy. They're not going to be able to pay continuous fines for not having the correct documentation. Lego just received a huge order from the UK to build border post building blocks. Believe in bollocks. Dido is running things. Top level cult. Yes. Oh my god. If you believe hard enough, we all become Anne Whitcomb. No, Leon, no, please, no. I can't stand Anne Whitcomb. But this is just insanity. I just want to read this tweet. In case you missed George Estes saying if there were queues, it would be down to slipshod EU for not planning. Yes, of course, it's the EU's fault. The EU forced us out, but also wanted us to stay. In his letter, Gove said, irrespective of the outcomes of the negotiations between the EU and the UK and EU, traders will face new customs controls and processes. Simply put, if traders both in the UK and EU have not completed the right paperwork, their goods will be stopped from entering the EU and disruption will occur. Once again, blame the businesses. It's your responsibility. It's essential the traders act now and get ready for the new formalities. Yeah, it's your responsibility. The Cabinet Office said it will be publishing its response to the consultation on use of police shortly. No time frame. But it said it would be wrong to characterise the Kent access permit as a border control. So what is it? If it's not a border control, what the hell is it? We're prioritising the smooth movement of outbound heavy goods vehicles over 7.5 tons through Kent to prevent unnecessary queues at the border. Okay, but what happens to goods under that weight? But sector chiefs have accused the government of failing to do enough in recent weeks over the threat of post-Brexit border delays. I received a donation from Dunback, I think it was. Sorry, I didn't see the screen. It disappeared. Apologies for that. Thank you very much for that donation. Let me read some of your comments again. So we produce car parts in Mexico that are shipped to the German warehouse to be sent to JLR. 10% tariffs from Mexico, and then 10% tariffs to supply to the UK. This will kill the car. This will kill the car industry. Thanks for that that comment, Roy. We should go to IKEA and get a new cabinet. Thank you very much, Glasgow KCS. I agree 100%. Even the cheapest cabinet you could find in IKEA would be much better than the current one. Oh my god. I just need to read a little bit more from this, and then we'll move on. But sector chief have accused of post-Brexit delays. The RHA meanwhile said in its meeting on Thursday with Gove said its meeting with on Thursday with Gove was a waste of time, as it did not engage with the detailed actions needed to be taken. Of course, because they don't believe enough in Brexit. If they believed enough in Brexit, then they would understand that everything will be fine. Responding to the worst case scenario document, Burnett said, "We've been consistently warning the government that there will be delays at ports, but they're just not engaging with industry on coming up with solutions. Traders need 50,000 more customs intermediaries to handle the mountain of paperwork after transition. But government support to recruit and train these extra people is woefully inadequate. The answers to the questions that were raised in our letter to Mr. Gove and the subsequent roundtable meeting last Thursday still remain unanswered, and our concern continues to grow." So basically the government have said, your responsibility, we're not going to do anything about it. We'll promise to hire more staff. Bazcams. I'm sorry I mispronounced, but Bazcams. Thank you very much for that super chat. If you have a comment, stick it below. I'll try to respond to it. But this is clear Tory Brexiteer mentality. Offload responsibility onto someone else. If they're not able to do it, well, it's their fault. Really don't know what else to say about this. Boris Johnson doesn't know whether he's coming or going. Okay, I want to let me show you. Staying on Brexit, of course, because Brexit is not going away for a while. I just want to close that. So we've been hearing, and I actually talked about it in one of the videos about how, well, maybe things are getting better. Frank, thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you very much, Frank Scanlon. If you have a question, I'll try to respond to it. Thank you so much for that. So Boris Johnson and I actually talked about it in some of the videos about how maybe things are actually starting to improve in the negotiations. Maybe we're getting closer to some sort of deal. Because I think Boris Johnson needs a deal. If he's not able to get a deal, it's going to be extremely damaging for him as Prime Minister. Remember, Boris Johnson said, we have an oven-ready deal. He seems to have gotten away with saying, now we have to get a deal. But what about the oven-ready deal? What happened to that? Well, no, that's sort of by the wayside. But I thought things were progressing. Well, they don't seem to be progressing. So Brexit, Brussels punctures optimism that deal is in sight. EU sources fear Boris Johnson hasn't yet got backing for compromise on state aid to businesses. So Brussels has sought to puncture an outbreak of optimism over the imminent Brexit deal, amid fears Boris Johnson has not secured the backing of key advisors and his party for compromise needed in the final stretch of negotiations. With the UK government yet to offer a new way forward on the most contentious issues and trust in Downing Street at a low ebb, senior EU officials treated this with skepticism. Reports that the UK could see a way to secure a deal. The EU's chief negotiator, Michel Barnier... Oh, wait a minute, Michel Barnier is still there? I thought, the Express had said that Michel Barnier was on his way out, that the EU had become tired of Michel Barnier. But now he's still there. How can anyone take these newspapers seriously? They're continually trying to undermine the EU. Oh, look at Michel Barnier is not feeling very well today. Michel Barnier is probably going to be fired. Michel Barnier is in conflict with the EU 27. Michel Barnier is this, Michel Barnier is that. And he's still there. So it's a pile of crap. Anyway, told ministers of the 27 member states this week that there would be a more open atmosphere at the negotiating table. According to a diplomatic source, diplomatic sources in Brussels. But he had also emphasized that substantial differences of opinion remain, particularly on the level playing field, the issues of state aid to business. While Downing Street is keen to move into the intensive tunnel negotiations to allow both sides to be creative before emerging from the Leaders' Summit on the 15th of October with a solution to the most intransigent problems, intransigent problems. Brussels is not convinced the Prime Minister yet has the support of his colleagues to commit to what might emerge. We cannot trust the Prime Minister's word. No, what? You can't trust Boris Johnson's word? What's wrong with you? So the EU member states are not willing to go blind into the tunnel negotiations to see what happens. The tunnel negotiations are these final negotiations, the more aggressive negotiations, and they're where the final decisions are normally taken. It's like a sort of session of negotiations over a couple of days, I think, or maybe it's even just one day. It will take more than we cannot trust it will take more than David Frost, the UK's chief negotiator, telling us Boris Johnson wants a deal. When the next round of negotiations open next week, the EU is hoping Frost will present a compromise proposal on the key issue of state control of state aid to businesses. There's better mood music and no substance yet from London to justify it. Yeah, so once again, I think this is, of course, Boris Johnson trying to bluff. Sorry. Well, I lost your... Okay. Bascams, thank you so much for that super chat. If you have a question, I'll try to respond. Very kind of you. Once again, I think this is Boris trying to run down the clock. The EU are not very happy about this, of course. But I think he's trying to run down the clock and then he will compromise. Because he doesn't want to compromise early. Because the Brexiteers will resist. So if he will do it probably like what happened with the transition period. The transition period was signed at the last minute and it was rushed through Parliament. They created legislation in Parliament, rules. They used parliamentary rules to stop people from reading it. Not to allow people enough time to read it, parliamentarians. Because some of them would not agree with it. So this is very important to remember. The parliamentarians almost never read bills or papers or anything that is actually put in front of them. They have aides who will give them a summary at most, or they vote according to the party. So this is why Boris Johnson, I think, is trying to run down the clock, trying to get something at the last minute. I think he will compromise. He said, okay, we'll get rid of state aid, we'll get rid of this, and then he'll come back to Parliament saying, I have a deal, I have peace in our time. Now we have to run it through Parliament as quickly as possible so that people don't read it. There'll be a lot of hullabaloos. Yes, it's a fantastic deal. It's the best deal. The EU have compromised. I faced them down. The Brexiteers will be delighted. Some of them will be delighted. Nigel Farage probably won't, because Nigel Farage understands that he can maintain his position by, constantly sniping at on the edges. But that won't be important. Nigel Farage is pretty much a spent force when it comes to Brexit at the moment. That's why he's moved on to immigration. Parliament is illiterate, pretty much. And then what will happen is they'll run it through, and then people will get to read it. The media will start to read it, and it will be too late. So I think it will be some sort of bare bones deal. Okay, just to something related to this, yes and no. I found this, I think it was Artemis posted this in Discord. I'll try and bring it up on the screen now. A fantastic video from what's called, I think it was Artemis who posted this. If not, apologies. So I just want to, pause that, put on some sound so you can hear it. This is from the Churchill project, which is similar to the, as you can see, I can't log into Twitter because I was very bold this year, and I got kicked off Twitter, in case you don't know. So if anyone wants to join me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. Apologies, I don't have Twitter at the moment, but perhaps I may have it in the future. I don't know. We will see. But this is similar to the Lincoln project in the United States, but this one is better. This is the Churchill project. So let's hear. I want to show you this video. It's a fantastic montage of the problems in the UK at the moment. So.
We got some dumbass motherfuckers floating around this country. Dumbass motherfuckers. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land, and they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. good, honest, hard-working people continue, these are people of modest means, continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all.
The Churchill Project is responsible for this content.
Thank you very much, Artemis, for sharing that on Discord. I think this is an amazing video, and I'm a huge fan of George Carlin, of course. And everything that's in the video is correct. These people don't care about you. I've been saying this on this channel for ages. The politicians don't care about you. They see you as a number, as something they can use. Doug is the new George. Yeah, Doug is amazing. Doug Stanhope. Helder asked if I'm going to sell lube on the channel, on the merchandise store. That's something to consider. But it's true. The working class have been thrown under a bus. The poor have been thrown under a bus. The middle class are being thrown under a bus. The politicians don't care about you. The politicians are there to serve a purpose, to maintain the owner class. They are the ones who decide. You're given this illusion that you have some sort of power, and you don't, unfortunately. I don't want to be such a downer, but an interesting parallel to this, of course, is this story.
From a £240,000 travel bill for Harry and Meghan's tour to Africa to the £210,000 it cost to fly Prince Charles to Oman after the Sultan's death. Almost £16,000 for Prince Andrew to fly privately to Northern Ireland for one of his golf patronages.
Prince Andrew flying to Northern Ireland. Okay, all of this is bad, but Prince Andrew is still being flown around. Why the hell is Prince Andrew flying around? Shouldn't Prince Andrew be in a basement somewhere, hidden away? You know, the uncomfortable relative that we all have. Prince Andrew is very uncomfortable as a relative, but he's still being flown around at a cost to the taxpayer. Maybe they probably chose to send him privately because if he was seen on a plane, people would probably throw him out of the plane while it's in the air.
And Princess Anne taking a £16,000 charter flight to Rome to watch Scotland play rugby as their patron. All
£16,000.
of them trips that stand out in the latest royal finances, with some you could argue more justifiable than others. Last year, the monarchy and their work cost the taxpayer £69.4 million. Every penny spent on official duties and building repairs, we're told, heavily scrutinised.
We'll come to this in a moment.
Now they're going to have to pull the purse strings even tighter, with COVID-19 set to hit the palace budgets.
The royal family is all about image. You know, the Queen famously said, we have to be seen to be believed. And so, you know, public gestures are important. And so in these times when, you know, everyone is being hit.
Everyone has been hit by the pandemic. So, you know, maybe Prince Charles or the Queen or Prince Andrew should, you know, maybe travel by bus. Or they should share a taxi. I understand some of the... Okay, no, let's finish the video and then I'll come back.
Hit by COVID, you know, people are losing their jobs. They're having their salaries cut. So it's going to look very bad if the palace says, oh, we have a hole in our finances, and goes to the government cap in hand and saying, oh, please give us more.
See, the problem with that is there's a problem with one of the problems with the royal family is that, okay, they have lots of money, but they also get money from the government, and if they were to go to the government and say, can you give us some more money, the government should say, don't you have offshore bank accounts that you could have a look at first before actually coming to us. Look, as you can imagine, I'm not a huge fan of the royal family. I have nothing against the people individually, apart from Prince Andrew, of course. But the individuals, I don't have something against them. But the only response I can think of, the only justification for all of this is because they're a tourist attraction. What do they actually present to the public? Okay, people say, well, they're a tourist attraction, they provide some jobs. They'll have to flog some paintings. This guy has his finger on the pulse. No one even imagines how bad it will be. Off with their heads. He's a grub.
The pandemic stopping the usual visitors to places like Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle will mean a £15 million shortfall over the next 3 years. While the budget for the ongoing repairs to Buckingham Palace is likely to take a £20 million hit. The spend on this property is still attracting attention. We've already been told that Harry and Meghan have paid off the £2.4 million bill for refurbishing Frogmore Cottage. Now it's been confirmed they've also paid an undisclosed sum for rent, but that will appear in next year's accounts.
Well, I suppose that's one way to train.
Right from the top, the remaining working royals have adapted in ways we never expected because of coronavirus. They say they won't be asking for extra funding, but like the rest of the country, will adjust to the unprecedented impact on their finances and the way that they work. Rihanna.
I just thought it'd be an interesting story to talk about because for those of you who live in Cornwall, please remember to make a will. Because if you don't, Prince Charles gets your legacy. My prediction: Crown protectorates are. Crown protectorates are required by law to reveal company owners by 2023. So I expect they will leave the Commonwealth. Yes. Like a pensioner in a brothel, they take more. They put it. That's terrible. The Queen did a Zoom call. Yes, that's true. We saw that. The Queen did do a Zoom call. The Duke of Edinburgh could fly them now. He has his driving license revoked. King Boris. No, we haven't. No, really. Well, Donald Trump would like to be somewhat like a king. So we're almost at the end of the stream, but I just want to well, I did mention about Donald Trump, so we will do. I just want to show you quickly a video here. Whoops, what am I doing?
Well, Krishnan, we have spent the summer reporting from protests across the country where thousands...
So, Donald Trump has decided to refuse to allow a peaceful transfer of power. Now, let me show you the bad, and then I'll come to the good. Don't worry, there is a light at the end of this tunnel. So let me just close that one.
Thousands of people have marched demanding justice for the killing of black men and women at the hands of mostly white police officers. Well, that came to a head last night when demonstrators turned out across dozens of US cities. There was briefly some violence here last night, and the man who shot those two police officers has since been arrested and charged within 12 hours. And that for many underscores what they see as the big injustice here, that when harm is done to police, justice is swift. But when plainclothes police shoot and kill a black woman In her own home, it takes a grand jury 6 months to conclude that they did nothing wrong and that they were simply acting in self-defence. And a warning that some viewers may find some of the scenes in my report distressing.
There was no police body cam video from the night Breonna Taylor was shot by officers who burst into her home.
Shots fired, shots fired.
But at the protest ignited by the state's decision not to directly...
Sorry guys, I just want to skip ahead a bit because I want to show you this scene where Donald Trump talked about what I was going to say.
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transfer of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and you'll have a very we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a.
So get rid of the ballots, and then there'll be a peaceful transfer of power. This is coming from the President of the United States. If we don't have any, if we ignore democracy, then we'll have a peaceful transfer. Now, this has blown up on this, you know, and so the positive about this is that members of his party have said we're not going to. This is unacceptable. We're not going to. We don't agree with the president on this. There will be a peaceful transfer of power. But what's even more interesting and what's more positive about all of this is that the Trump administration is actually, part of his administration is actually preparing for transfer. They're actually preparing for it. Now, they're probably hoping that it will not be necessary, but they are actually preparing for it. So that means that some people do not believe that he will be elected. Some people believe that he will be removed. The military, he would need the military on his side if he were to try and stay in office. The military are not on his side. The military command are not in his pocket. So if push came to shove, the military would be on the side of Congress, the side of the people. If that's what I truly believe. Donald Trump is not going to be a dictator. Now, will he try? Yes, he definitely will try. But I don't see him. I don't see him following through with it. Now, that of course there are many ifs here. Many things depend on many other issues. It depends on whether he. It depends on how the election unfolds on the night. The election results, how the results come in. There is this red haze, I think it's called, where there's a possibility that Donald Trump is winning on the night, but the ballots will not be counted. That's why he's preparing the ground. He's trying to say, look, you know, these ballots are not to be counted. It will require a lot of strength. It will require cool heads on the side of the red tide, on the side of the Democrats, in the media as well. The media will have to say, we have to wait. Donald Trump, you cannot call victory. You cannot claim victory yet. You have to wait until all the results have been counted. Because of COVID, many ballots will come in by post. They have to be counted. Donald Trump will try to claim victory on the night. It will depend on how the media responds. If the media say, it's over, then you're going to have big trouble because the ballots will start to come in. I don't think at this moment that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Donald Trump will claim victory, but the media will say, no, we have to wait. His use of paramilitary is a bit worrying right now, Max. I hope I'm wrong when I say this. I hope I'm right when I say this, but I don't think you're going to see major clashes between the Trumpists and the anti-Trumpists in the streets. There will be clashes, there may be people injured, and maybe even worse. But I don't see a huge mass gatherings and destruction and rioting. I hope that's the case. About 1 million supporters with guns will think they can enforce an illegal coup, but the US military can kick their arse. They've had decades of experience of dealing with insurgency. I don't, maybe I'm being naive here, but I don't think it will get to that. People will be angry, people will be upset, and people will be sad, but I don't see it happening. And I hope I'm right. Although I fear that I will be wrong. I think Biden will become president. Sorry, Biden for president. I don't know, Max. Then them Trump voters are maniacs, man. I know, but I think it depends on how the results come in. I think if the media ensure that private prison, okay, I feel if the media are strong on this, they don't call it for Trump. They say we have to wait for the results to come in. And somehow they're able to keep Trump from making the situation more toxic and more, how can I say, volatile. Then I think there's a chance that it will calm down and the results, the true results will come in. Now, let's hope that it does come in for Biden, because there's a chance that maybe Biden's support is not as strong as we think it is. I hope it is, but I wouldn't put money on enough people turning out for Biden. I'm afraid it's going to be quite touch and go. I think it's going to be a slim victory perhaps for Joe Biden, but there's still a very good chance that Donald Trump will win. But I think the idea that his administration, people within his administration, are preparing for the transition, even though he's saying, to the cameras, oh no, we're not going to conduct a peaceful transition. You have to look at what's going on behind the scenes and not listen to what Donald Trump is saying. I think people within his party, people within his administration are preparing for a loss. The problem is the supporters. Anthony C, thank you very much for that super chat. Many Trump supporters will be relieved when he loses, maybe. But I think, maybe they can say, well, now we can get back to hating the Democrats even more now. We couldn't really hate the Democrats as much as we wanted. Now we can truly hate them. We can be afraid for people coming to take our guns. Remember, Obama was going to take our guns in 2008 and in 2012, and Hillary is going to take them in 2016, and Al Gore was going to take them in 2000. They're always afraid people are going to come and take their guns, so they can get back to maybe being afraid that Joe Biden is going to take their guns, and then the next Democrat after that as well. So guys, thank you so much everyone for coming on the stream. I hope we ended on a positive note. I don't think things are going to go as badly as we fear. I hope. I'm being slightly optimistic here. I think if the numbers come out, if Donald Trump is losing or it's not very good, not looking very good for him on the night, people within his administration will concede it, and then he'll be forced to concede. It'll have to come from within the administration. Not expecting Donald Trump is going to resist to the end, but he will have to concede at some stage, if that's the scenario. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's come on the stream, who smashed that like button. It's been a pleasure tonight. I had a great stream tonight. A big thank you to everyone who sent a super chat and given a donation or became a Patreon. Big thank you also to the moderators who kept the stream on the straight and narrow as always. So remember guys, before we finish, of course we're going to end with our one for the road. I want to say Remember, if you want to become a patron, you can access the Discord server where after the stream we have a bit of a chat about the stream and about all types of things. You're welcome to join that if you're already a patron. And I'll see you all next Tuesday at the same bat time, same bat channel at 9:30 p.m. British summertime, 10:30 Central European time. So have a great weekend. But before we go, we have our one for the road. So just a moment. I'll put it up on the screen. I have to meet this lady at some stage.
Accendi Now TV.
Whoops. Let me just switch this. Apologies for that. Okay, Sky.
Okay, first up, nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, no matter how fucked their eyesight is gone to Durham. All that's in the past. See all that herd immunity? See all that? Stay away from each other a wee bit, but you don't need a mask. All that, tools in the store, that's done. We all need to wear a mask. We all need to stay away from each other. This virus is definitely on the rise. And you know how we were all like, oh, British spirit, let's all meet again and stand at the White Cliffs of Dover arm in arm and shouting into the sky. Clap, clap, clap for the NHS. Oh, that's no worked either. At the end of the day, this virus is coming, it's getting worse, and come the winter, it's going to kill more people. I mean, I never expected this. This isn't the job that I expected to do. When I took this off of Teresa, I thought this was going to be a brilliant job, but I'm not really happy with this job now. I thought I would just be sitting in 10 Downing Street writing letters about Brexit and gone down to Chequers for a bit of grouse beating. Turns out it's an actual job and I'm a bit fucked. Look after each other. Right, everybody, run.
I never knew that Boris Johnson had a bit of Scottish in him. So guys, I want to say a big thank you once again to everyone who's come on the stream tonight. A big thank you to everyone who has sent a super chat. A big thank you also to the moderators who done a fantastic job tonight once again. So I'll see you all once again next Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Have a great weekend, and remember, as Boris Johnson always says, to stay alert. I'll see you all next Tuesday. Have a great night and a great weekend. Stay safe.